Deuteronomy chapter 19.
When the Lord thy God hath cut off the nations, whose land the Lord thy God giveth thee, and thou succeedest them, and dwellest in their cities and in their houses, thou shalt separate 3 cities for thee in the midst of thy land, which the Lord thy God giveth thee to possess it. Thou shalt prepare thee a way, and divide the coasts of thy land, which the Lord thy God giveth thee to inherit, into 3 parts, that every slayer may flee thither. And this is the case of the slayer which shall flee thither, that he may live. Whoso killeth his neighbor ignorantly, whom he hated not in time past, as when a man goeth into the wood with his neighbor to hew wood, and his hand fetcheth a stroke with the axe to cut down the tree, and the head slippeth from the helve, and lighteth upon his neighbor that he die, he shall flee into one of those cities and live, lest the avenger of the blood pursue the slayer while his heart is hot, and overtake him, because the way is long, and slay him, whereas he was not worthy of death, inasmuch as he hated him not in time past.
Wherefore I command thee, saying, Thou shalt separate 3 cities for thee. And if the Lord thy God enlarge thy coast, as he hath sworn unto thy fathers, and give thee all the land which he promised to give unto thy fathers, if thou shalt keep all these commandments to do them which I command thee this day, to love the Lord thy God, and to walk ever in his ways, then shalt thou add 3 cities more for thee, beside these 3, that innocent blood be not shed in thy land, which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance, and so blood be upon thee.
But if any man hate his neighbor, and lie in wait for him, and rise up against him, and smite him mortally that he die, and fleeth into one of these cities, then the elders of his city shall send and fetch him thence, and deliver him into the hand of the avenger of blood, that he may die. Thine eye shall not pity him, but thou shalt put away the guilt of innocent blood from Israel, that it may go well with thee. Thou shalt not remove thy neighbor's landmark, which they of old time have set in thine inheritance, which thou shalt inherit in the land that the Lord thy God giveth thee to possess it. One witness shall not rise up against a man for any iniquity or for any sin, in any sin that he sinneth. At the mouth of 2 witnesses, or at the mouth of 3 witnesses, shall the matter be established. If a false witness rise up against any man to testify against him that which is wrong, then both the men, between whom the controversy is, shall stand before the Lord, before the priests and the judges, which shall be in those days. And the judges shall make diligent inquisition. And behold, if the witness be a false witness, and hath testified falsely against his brother, then shall ye do unto him as he thought to have done unto his brother. So shalt thou put the evil away from among you. And those which remain shall hear and fear, and shall henceforth commit no more any such evil among you. And thine eye shall not pity, but life shall go for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot.
Now you find out in chapter 19, as we come to that, the cities of refuge are mentioned. I've been into this before, but may I just say briefly, certain cities were called cities of refuge, that when a man had slain someone accidentally, not in a premeditated manner, for instance, they were out working together, an axe head came off and hit the man. Well, his brother may think he did it purposely, and he's not permitted to bring him into court or anything. The man goes to a city of refuge, and he's protected there until a fair trial can be held. That was something that was very important. Now we are told here something about the land that they're going into. In verse 8, if the Lord thy God enlarge thy coast, as he hath sworn unto thy fathers, and give thee all the land which he promised to give unto thy fathers, if thou shalt keep all his commandments to do them, which I command thee this day, to love the Lord thy God, and to walk ever in his ways. The test of love is obedience. Then shalt thou add 3 cities more for thee beside these 3. But they never needed those, for the very simple reason that out of 300,000 square miles God gave to them, they've only occupied 30,000 square miles. Now you have here the fact that landmarks were sacred. Verse 14, thou shalt not remove thy neighbor's landmark, which they of old time have set in thine inheritance, which thou shalt inherit in the land that the Lord thy God giveth thee to possess it. This is a protection of human property, the protection of the rights to property. That's important today, by the way. Now you have, beginning at verse 15, something that reveals to us how awesome the law really was and what it is. Anyone that says today they want to live under law, they ought to really find out what it is. He talks here about, beginning with verse 15, one witness shall not rise up against a man for any iniquity or for any sin, and any sin that he sinneth. The mouth of two witnesses, or at the mouth of three witnesses, shall the matter be established, and so on. Now there's rules for that. But notice what happens here. If a man is found guilty of breaking the law, what shall they do? Show mercy? Verse 21. And thine eye shall not pity, but life shall go for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot. That's law, friends. I thank God today that the Lord is not judging me on the basis of law, that He saves me today by grace, because if He was saving me by law today, I'd be lost, because I could never measure up. Law is law, friends. We have such a careless attitude toward law. Believe me, God enforces His law, and it's eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. And I thank God that He saves by grace today, and that the throne of God has become a mercy seat because Christ died, and the blood has been sprinkled there, and that's the blood of the covenant. He paid the penalty, and there is pardon today for sinners, not because they keep a law, because they've broken it. They're guilty before God, and God saves by His marvelous, infinite, wonderful grace. Oh, how important this is. How wonderfully important this is, friends, in these days in which we're living.